Hi friends, this is Anna with Scrapping, Stamping, and Stuff. I'm back today with another stamping video, and today's is going to be some really simple cards that would be perfect for starting out, perfect for learning to stamp, and also perfect if you need to get a bunch of cards stamped pretty fast for your collection, that you could make these up in a few minutes. So I've started doing these one stamp, one ink, one paper videos, and that's what this is today. So we're going to do these 3 cards with the Lovely You stamp set. This is a new one getting ready to come out, and it has the prettiest greetings, the wording, and also just the way they look. I just love how these look, and they could be used for all sorts of cards. So this is the stamp set we're using. We are using Pretty Peacock ink, which is a gorgeous color, and we'll use our vanilla cardstock, and that is basically it. So we'll get started. We will let's make it this one first, the wreath. So we need a prepared card base, and this stamp, I love this stamp. Anytime I see a curved leaf or branch or some kind of foliage stamp, a lot of times I like to turn those into these wreaths. So I just eyeball this. I like to go this way. You could plan this out. You could draw yourself a little circle to guide you if you do not feel comfortable winging it. But I am going to wing it and show you that it can be done. And most likely I'll mess something up because that happens a lot. And if I do, then I'll figure out how to fix it. So we'll just keep rotating and stamping and rotating and stamping. And I have no idea if this is going to turn out looking like the one I already did, or maybe it will be more full. Now that's pretty, but I also want some branches coming out on the inside. So now I'm going to go back one more time and add some sticking out on the inside. This way it's not quite so circular on the inside. I like that better. I'll add one more right there. Okay, super. So there we have a really pretty wreath. Now the greeting I used on this one is Wildly Grateful. Here it is. And I like to get a feel for making sure that I'm going to stamp this straight. And sometimes when I want to do that, I just practice on my scrap paper. Looks good. Okay, now I feel a little more confident. And we'll stamp that down here. Super. And as you can see, I added a little, you could leave it like that. You could add some pearls or some rhinestones. I decided just to add a really simple little bow. And when I say bow, I don't want you to be scared. I just made a knot. Actually, it's a knot. It is not a bow. So this is some of our gold edged ribbon. I am just making a knot. And now I'll just trim this off at an angle. I'm going to trim this one off. And you could add this with glue. My favorite way to add bows or knots to a card is with glued dots. So there's a pre-sticky dot right here on this little roll. I'm going to pick it up and stick it right on there, and I don't have to wait for anything to dry, and we have a pretty card. So there's the first one. Let's move on to round 2. Each one of these has like a little very basic trick or technique with it. So this one, I stamped the pattern all over, and if you notice, there's a strip here of nothing. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The way we do that is you could use just a strip of scrap paper, like notebook paper or printer paper. You want it to be thin. Cardstock doesn't work very well, so you want it to be thin paper. This is a strip of a big Post-it note. It's got sticky down here, and it looks like it does not want to lay flat. So I'm going to try to fold it around the back and see if I can get that to lay flat. That's better. So I'm just masking that off, and so when I do my stamping, it won't stamp right there. Then I can remove that, and we'll have a strip where we can add our greeting. To prepare the stamps, I just used a few of these. I just love these floral and greenery stamps in this set. I think they're really neat. So how do I want to arrange this? I'm going to cluster them up. How about something like that? Now I am adding my block on top of all of them, and I can ink them all together and stamp all together. So I will do this until this whole card is covered. As I stamp them, I want to turn and rotate it so that it doesn't look like a repeated pattern. You could absolutely do a repeated pattern if you want that, but I'm going for a little bit more natural look. I do suggest when you do any kind of pattern stamping like this, where you're trying to cover the entire back of your card, that you start in the center and work your way out from there. If you start on the side, sometimes it's a little bit harder as you move across to fill up your entire space. But if you start in the center and work out, that usually works pretty well. Okay, so now we'll take off our little masking piece. We have a strip there with nothing on it. On this one, I used the Just Because stamp. And I will add a little bow to this one as well. I already have my bow prepared. If you want to keep your cards really simple, of course you do not have to do this, but sometimes it's nice when you are doing simple cards just to add something little, like I said, rhinestones or gems, or a little knot like this, just to kind of spice it up a little. All right, and let's move on to card number 3. On this one, we'll leave the card base plain, and we are going to stamp on a piece of vanilla cardstock that measures 2 3/4 inches by 4.5 inches. And I used this really nice flower on this one, and we are just going to stamp a repeated pattern. So I did 3 flowers like that on the left and the right sides. And then I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing going the other direction. All right, so I really like that pattern. Kind of looks like some old wallpaper or something. So I will bring in my card base here. I am going to attach this, so you could attach this with regular adhesive if you want. I'm going to use some foam dimensionals that are going to pop that up. These are one of those things that adds a little something special without taking a lot of time or a lot of effort. Anything you can pop up on a card is going to add something a little bit different to it. Put that on. Now for the greeting on this one, I cut it out. I stamped it and I cut it out. So this is called fussy cutting, and I'll start over here on this side. We'll just do a little trimming. If this is scary, you should try it once and see how you do. It is not hard. This is something you can do without having any special tools or anything fancy. You just need some decent scissors and a little bit of patience. So I'm going to trim around the bottom part, and then the top of it I'll just trim off straight. And when you start doing this and you're critical on yourself, oh, I didn't get that cut right, you just remember that I'm messing up here too, and I'm just not going to point it out to you. And whoever I send these cards to probably won't notice. You could trim this straight with a trimmer if you wanted to, but I'm pretty sure I'll get it close enough. Okay, so that's trimmed out. I really like how that looks. I don't do this a lot, but it is pretty easy and really looks cute. So, I'm gonna add a pop-up. I would add 2 if I... Oh, I found a second one. Add a second little pop-up. Thought I was out. Never fear. I saw another pack. And I just attached this over here. I wanted the edge to hang off because I like how that looks. And now we have another card done. So I'll pull these back in. As you can see, we made these really quickly, really easily. And this is a nice way to add a lot of cards to your collection. And also great ideas for getting started stamping. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope to see you again next time. Have a great day.